Good morning, good morning, good morning again, kids. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the disclaimers, which are getting right to, as we usually do when we do a series of videos back to back within the same day. All right, folks, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill, folks. Please read the article. Share it on all your social media. Also included in it is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC actually ever does decide to see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. So, where we left off. For example, the JRC provided no data regarding AEs in the resident summaries it submitted, and the submission includes no information to assess whether AEs were systemically planned for, tracked, or documented in any of the clinical data. What the fuck? So we're going to submit this data. But when we submit it, it's not going to be any of the traditional parameters, checks, and balances that are contained within a usual case study. In fact, we're not going to document each thing the way that we should. Nor was this study systemically planned for. That's not clinic data. What that is a firing. That's called you did not do your one job. You are Carl and you had one job. That one job was to conduct a study by the letter from beginning to finish. Carl went and got wasted the night before the study. Came into work hungover, spending the majority of his day underneath his coat. When he had to participate in the study, because he was hungover, he forgot to document shit. But since it's JRC, bro is still probably working. That's called shit that gets you fired around here. In these here parts, that would be a firing. Just saying. Bro was literally Carl and had one job. A qualified clinician should have inquired about AEs with open-ended questioning at predefined times after each use of the GED. As I said, protocol. There is no indication that this occurred. Therefore, these data are inconclusive regarding whether AEs occurred. In other words, because we did not document properly right after the application of the device whether there was physical harm or not, we consider your data trash. Not to mention the fact that it does not follow the usual parameters, procedures, and protocols of a study when conducted properly. Sorry. This is what happens when you have healthcare workers and scientists in your family. Me staring at you. with a 1,000-yard stare when you tell me that you did not do your one job. Just saying. Therefore, these data are inconclusive. Exactly. As we stated in the proposed rule, 66 patients' case history spanning a 23-year period did not report any AEs, which is highly unusual over such a long time, almost as though they were encouraged to not report those injuries. That's crazy talk, Tiff. That's that conspiracy theory you like to get into. Nobody likes it, folks. It is what it is. When it's sitting there that plain in front of your face, it's not a conspiracy, it's a fact. For instance, FDA expected to read about a known case of skin damage in these histories. However, there is no mention of that event. If the JRC was actually as honest and innocent as they were claiming, if there was a situation where it ended up in an injury, even if they bent over backwards to cover their ass, the documentation would still be there. However, you're told not to report because you don't want DMH closing you down. Well, then. That gives every incentive in the world not to record a single injury, even when it's front of your eyeballs, doesn't it? Hmm. This may be because none of those case histories included systemically defined methods for short or long-term AE monitoring. Or it could be FDA, and maybe it's just my jadedness and nihilism coming in, but I believe these individuals, in fact, did see injuries. I believe that they were told to ignore those injuries' existence instead of reporting it through the proper channels, as done in every other clinical, residential, or school setting. Because they didn't want the scrutiny that would come along with it. And folks, if you want to know why I'm so cynical and tilting my head, is because you have no idea. Two places in particular off the top of my head that I can remember directly that pulled similar shit. Want to know what happened to those? Because they were specifically two group homes. Those group homes no longer exist. Those consumers are with absolutely no service providers from that old agency and are up with a brand new one. One that deals specifically with neurodivergent kids. Burl. Okay. Yeah. When you're not reporting shit in your reports the way you're supposed to, you're hiding something. The FDA wants to believe, God help them, because I used to want to believe it too, that these were all honest errors. What I know from the reality of the situation, what I've experienced in my work life and my career with the state, as short lived as it was, because they refused to put me full time. That's its own bag of worms. I will eventually come to the other day. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why a place like this does not report injury is because they're hiding something. If they weren't hiding something, even if there was a grievous injury to report, it would still be a part of that data, usually accompanied with an explanation as to why the particular individual felt that the injury did not come from the machine itself. Even if they bent over ass backwards to defend themselves and obscure, they still would have left it in the report. Should tell you something that there isn't. That should tell you something about the so-called studies and so-called accuracy that have been done on these devices at the JRC. And this is why we cannot trust places like the JRC, who our asses are being held to the fire to provide data in regards to the types of treatment they conduct themselves, because it's major conflict of interest, and whatever data they're going to provide you is going to be whatever actually fits the narrative they're trying to make you to believe. Okay? Let's go ahead and continue, shall we? Just to go over it. And when you have an individual whose very job it is to follow protocol, you're Carl, you have one job, and that is to follow protocol. A study like this wouldn't just have been thrown out, you would have been fired. And you wouldn't just have been fired, you would never be able to find yourself working inside so much as a small medical clinic out the side of nowhere ever again, had that been tried to be pulled here. We all know what I think of this state, the fact that it's getting more dangerous for people like me out there every single second of every day. All right. Gonna close out now, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, you know the drill. If you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit those comments. I appreciate your time. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you again in a few seconds. As I said, it would be short. The next few videos, God willing, will be too. Bye bye, everyone. No, seriously. How about?